All right, hello, welcome to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotroStream. I'm your community manager, Cordovan, and I'm with you for the next hour, hanging out, having some fun. I'll be doing some Q&A. We'll talk a little bit about things such as Mordor and Discord and anything else that you want to talk about. We've got some events kicking off here in the near future. I'll have a look at what we have going on. We've got some community events as well happening here in the coming weeks, and I got a cat over my chat screen, per usual. My cat Lizzie likes to sit of late right where my chat window is for Twitch. So let me move that. How you doing? All right. It's ironic that I start my stream with an evil ring of total destruction. Well, I suppose. I suppose. It's just sort of an iconic bit of Lord of the Rings. People are like, hey, I know the ring. Even people who don't know Lotro probably know about the One Ring. So, yeah. All right. Can you hear me okay? I assume that I'm coming through okay based on chat here. I did have to make some adjustments. Some of my lighting is off on today's stream, and that's because two of the spotlights I usually use to, I don't know, do the best I can in terms of looking decent on stream. I've currently grabbed them because I was painting minis, and I forgot to put them back in time to be able to do the live stream. Also, it's hot in here because I had to turn off the air conditioning.
Well, rising.
Yeah, it's a toasty, humid day here. But let's get to some news, huh? All right. So the first thing I want to mention is that we have got the Forester crafting event that'll be kicking off on Monday. This has been moved out a little bit, but it is coming back. It'll be starting Monday, July 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's going to run until 3 a.m. Eastern on July 25th. As part of that as well, we're ready to announce when the first hardtack crafting event will begin. Now, this is the crafting event that's going to be in the Thorns Hall area, arriving, well, the code for it arrives with update 41, and what I'm here to say is that the first event of it will actually begin on August 1st. So, the first public hardtack crafting event will start on August 1st at 10 a.m. Eastern and run until 3 a.m. Eastern on August 12th. So, through August 11th, shut off early in the morning on August 12th, start 10 a.m. Eastern on August 1st. And that gives you some sense of where we're sitting in terms of the release date for Update 41. My understanding is it'll be about a week before. We're currently targeting something like the 23rd, 24th-ish, 23rd, I think, is the current plan for Update 41. Stay tuned for more information. We'll have downtime and release notes on that week. So not next week, but the week after is where we tentatively have scheduled, at least for now, Update 41's release, and then the hardtack crafting event will show up a week later. Update 41 has got also the PVMP work that's taking place, some systems work. I believe the Lore Master stuff will be in there. And on top of that, there's a bit that is going to be coming after the release of Update 41 that's part of this development cycle that we haven't really mentioned yet either. And that is we have a new instance that'll be arriving later in August. And it's related to kind of a bunch of things that'll be debuting around that time as part of our celebration of the Year of the Dragon. A lot of Daybreak published titles have got some stuff that they're doing. DDO has been all over it this year. But we're doing a little something that's related to that as well on the Lotro side, and that should be arriving later in August. So we have a new instance that'll be arriving with the Update 41 cycle after release. It'll probably be something like Update 41.2 that the instance arrives. But that's in the works as well. So that is really what we're working on at the moment, is getting Update 41 out the door. We're getting ready for the release of Angmar and Mordor. And I am working on setting up a Discord. There's been some rumors about it in recent weeks, and an article written in Massively OP, I believe yesterday, about this, related to a comment I gave on the DDO side. But let me just repeat it here, and I'll get it on the forums at some point here soon as well. But we're starting with Dungeons & Dragons Online to roll out an official Discord for the game. I picked DDO first for a couple of reasons. There's a little bit more of a pressing need on that side. They've had some issues with voice chat in-game of late. That was one of the motivating factors to pick DDO first. But the other thing is DDO doesn't have the language, French and German side to deal with as well, and that's going to take a little bit extra time to get set up and running. I've got a version of the Discord sort of staged internally at this point. I'm going to need to have maybe someone like Palantir or something kick the tires on it, expose any permissions and role issues and things that I just recently discovered over on the DDO side as well. But it is coming. And my goal is to get it out before the expansion here later this year for the Lord of the Rings Online. The current plan is to have English, French, and German. It's going to be a lot. It's a lot. It'd be one of the first comments from inside of the office, and pretty much everyone who's looked at it has been like, that's a lot of channels. The answer is yes, and I am kind of I actually don't like a lot of channels, but I'm doing it anyway because I want to have a place for servers, which means you have to have all the server channels. I want to have a place for classes, which means you have to have all the classes. I want to, in many ways, mimic the structure that you see on the forums. So a lot of the categories and that work on the forums, I'm going to be bringing over to the Lochar Discord. And we'll see. It's possible I could consolidate some based on actual usage. I could add things or replace things based on actual usage. You know, it'll be a dynamic environment for a little while as we sort of figure out, well, what do people actually want to do with it and how's it going to work? But I will say, it is going to have voice chat. At least that's the plan. So for those of you who prefer Discord voice chat over our in-game voice chat or whatever else you might be using, that's the plan is to make that available. I'm not going to let people turn on video cameras for various reasons, some of which you could probably figure out, but it would just be difficult if we allow people to start showing their webcams and things in our chat rooms. But we are going to allow voice chat, and so the way it should theoretically work is you can direct invite to that voice channel. So if you're doing a regular LFM or something like that, and you just want to bring in some people, should be able to do that. I do have the restrictions planned to be set about as high as they can be, and I know that that's an inconvenience for some people, and in many ways may impact its overall usage, because I'm going to make you have to have a phone number. I'm going to make you have to have an email, and you're going to have to verify that email. And then I've got certain role things, but it has to be done to prevent trolling, prevent alt account, prevent ban evasion, prevent spam, all sorts of problems by making it more restrictive. But it is going to be more restrictive. I don't actually expect this is going to replace any of the popular Discords that already exist, like the unofficial Lord of the Rings online Discord, Giniverse. I mean, there's a whole host of them. Laurelin Archives, etc. So I'm not expecting this to really replace any of the Discords, but it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I have not really been able to do for one main reason, which is that historically we have had difficulty in being able to create a volunteer moderator program. I don't know how many of you, it's sort of old news at this point, but way back in the day, a gaming company that might have been related to ownership of the Lord of the Rings Online at the time got in some pretty serious legal trouble for a volunteer moderator program where they were deemed to have put some kind of compensation rules in place, and it was one of the higher fines ever levied against a game studio in the United States. And it had impacts in our ability to utilize volunteer moderators for not just our game, but industry-wide in terms of being able to do volunteer moderation. But I have a legally approved, by Daybreak Legal, their lawyers, have signed off on a volunteer moderation program that the studios could use for things like handling a Discord. And the reason I want volunteer moderators for a Discord is because it is new tech, but it's also very old tech. If you think about Discord, it's got a lot of pluses to it, like audio and video, but it's basically like an old IRC. You know, it's 24/7 chat, 365. And I can basically handle forum moderation on my own, with some help by others to ping me when things go bad on weekends and what have you. But trying to do that for a large Discord seemed untenable. So I was able to create a program where we're going to be asking for volunteer moderators. Those volunteer moderators will have to sign a formal NDA. That means an actual legal document that's enforceable. As a result, they're going to have to provide some personal information like their real name, their real address, phone number, things like that. But once we get these volunteer mods onboarded, we'll be able to have probably a pretty large pool. I would imagine several dozen moderators in the Discord who could kind of come and go as they want. No one's going to have a schedule. No one's going to be expected to mod at a certain time, what have you. That's part of the rule set that's required. But if there's enough of us out there just kind of keeping an eye on things, it should be fine in terms of moderation of the Discord. Now, I am expecting these first couple of weeks, similar to the first couple of weeks on the forums, to be a little on the chaotic side as people kick the tires and push boundaries and see what they can do. And that's okay. That's okay. That's just sort of how this stuff goes. But that should get settled within a few weeks, I would imagine. And we'll have a pretty robust official Discord for the Lord of the Rings Online. So I'm pretty excited to be able to offer this. It's not going to replace the forums. It's not going to replace any existing Discords. But it will give the team a place to interact in a Discord-like way in an official capacity without any of the occasional politics and other problems that happen with doing this sort of thing on private Discord. So it should be a good thing. The DDO side is expected to kick off within a few weeks. The Lotro side will be later this fall. I want to launch the DDO side one, have it actually run for a week or two, see what sorts of things I might need to pay attention to as I'm setting up the Lotro one. But the Lotro one will follow relatively soon afterwards, once it depends in part on how long it takes to get all these NDAs drafted and signed and what have you. But I would imagine by September-ish, maybe even August, we'll have one on the Lotro side here as well. So that's pretty exciting news, is it not? I actually was able to break a little news this week. We got the Forester crafting event starts next Monday. Hardtack crafting event starts August 1st. Lotro Discord on the way. This past week, we had our latest casual stroll with Scenario. That went to Daggerlod and the Dead Marshes. That's up now on our YouTube channel and on Twitch if you want to see the archive for that. And then we've got double bonus points back through the weekend. So this runs through the 14th of July. So make sure you take advantage of that if you're interested. Get twice the bonus points in the Lotro store. This is the final weekend for that. Otherwise, we just have our standout from the crowd sale where you get 25% off shared wardrobe, cosmetic outfit slots, select cosmetics, etc. And that's through Thursday. We also have a crafting XP boost happening through Sunday. A 25% crafting XP boost through July 14th. And when I look ahead on our schedule, we are hoping to do another Mordor stress test. This would actually be more of a, I guess, more of a regular preview period for Mordor. You know, we deliberately pushed things to the point of crashing last time around, and this time around I think we want to have a little more just regular preview of Mordor to see what left needs to be done. I don't know the timing on that, though. A lot of things are up in the air in terms of timing. But potentially we could do something like that next week, and we'll see. I'm working also on a FAQ for the Mordor and Angmar Legendary Worlds. We've had a lot of questions, particularly about Mordor and how that's going to work. That's on my agenda to work on next week, probably get published something like the week after that. And it'll go into more detail about the things that we can talk about. What's Mordor's level going to start at? Is it going to have any XP boost? I think the answer is no on that. What's our expected cadence for release? What are we going to do about Mordor at the end of it? That's probably been the biggest question. Mordor is a European-located server, our first one, and it's a legendary world. So what happens when the legendary world hits the level cap? Traditionally, we've had free transfers from the legendary worlds to a non-legendary world, but it's possible we may do something different with Mordor. Severlin said yesterday on Twitter that, let me actually see if I can just call up his tweet and read it verbatim. Saying, I've received some Lochor questions about the new Mordor server. The server being located in Europe is a special case. That server would be left open so long as the server is well populated and it is financially viable for us to continue it. So it's possible on the Mordor side that we could leave Mordor open even at the end of its traditional run. It's possible that we could, at the end of that run, transfer in or transfer to Mordor some players. No decision's been made on that. There are too many factors up in the air. If we did do that, however, we would have to pick between either the US or EU historical worlds. Remember, there's a old issue related to data ID conflicts with transfers from the old Codemaster servers. That's basically an item ID conflict that prevents people from transferring between EU and US worlds historical. It's not an issue for the legendary worlds because you can transfer from a legendary world to one of those other worlds, and at that point you're locked in. But if we're going to go the other way around where people would transfer to Mordor, we would have to pick specific either EU or US worlds and then allow transfers to that. It's possible we could do that if things go well and it's successful, and that's the path forward we would opt for, because there are other paths you could go as well. You know, maybe if it's super successful, we could locate other servers to the data center, but there's some significant cost issues there, which is why, as Rob Ciccolini, our Severlin, our executive producer, has said, why we're not just, say, moving all the EU worlds to Europe. It's cost prohibitive at this time, but that is something we could theoretically do. Either way, I think the end result of the Mordor discussion is it's going to have to wait until it goes live to some extent, till we see how many people are interested in it, so we see how it works as a business. And it is a legendary world, so it's going to be a while before we would reach the level cap, probably something like at least a couple of years, if not longer. So in some ways it's a decision that future us at SSG can make. But we know that there's high interest on the community, especially our European players, to get answers to these questions. So we do want to be upfront and clear about what our current thinking is and what our options might be and what have you. I don't know, Moonplus, that I am allowed to say specifically where the data center is located. There are security posture reasons to do that, and all sorts of other reasons, maybe not to get into that. That said, players are going to figure it out pretty soon with trace routes and what have you, so perhaps we'll just let it be that way in terms of getting the information. Still on target for July for Angmar and Mordor, or are we looking at August now? We are still targeting July. We are still targeting July for Mordor and Angmar. Is it possible to participate in the volunteer stuff for Discord if we are not located in the United States? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's one of my hopes. And so far, it seems to have worked out on the DDO side. I just asked for volunteer mods on Wednesday of this week, and I already got 40 applications, which was pretty hot. Thankfully, I had people in Australia, I had people in Europe, I had even someone in Azerbaijan, I had people in the South America and Africa, so all over the world, but that's what I need. I need people who are awake when I'm not, and able to, keep an eye on things when I'm not around, or I'm trying to take a few hours off or what have you. So, yes, very much yes. I would love to see people from all over the world be our volunteer moderators for these Discords. And DDO is the guinea pig. Yes. Yes, on that. I'm sorry, Arabani, I don't know your question about the Farmer's Fair quest that used to be hourly as still daily. It'll be whatever it was most recently, is my understanding. I am not aware that we have made any change to the Farmers Fair quests. I know that there was one that we did, what, was it last year or the year before, where we prevented an issue where people were just farming them over and over and over again. So we had to put a slightly more restrictive limit on it. I would expect that to continue to be the case. So, to your question, Schmooze, about it being an option to make Mortar a VIP-only server with a 150 level cap and transfer to Mortar from EU servers, that could happen in the future once the Legendary World part of the server is done. You know, Legendary Worlds are progression servers where content unlocks over time, and they are VIP gated for the most part. Um, and so that's what we're going to be doing with this one too. At the end of it, once it hits whatever level cap we're on at that year, we would have the option to potentially transfer, like you described. And the 64-bit stuff, remember, is debuting with Angmar and Mortar, but we're rolling that out to all the worlds as soon as we can. All right. If we do transfers to Mortar, would they be free or would they have a cost? I think that that's a question for future us to determine. I mean, there's no actual plan to do that, but if that's the option we were to move forward with, we would also then have to decide, did we want to make it a free transfer, or did we want to open it up as an option for players to be able to do? Is the access to the 4th crafting slot still coming with U41? Well, perhaps Orion will be magically hearing me say his name and pop up in chat and let me know for sure. I think so. I think so. Will it be announced in the forums when you can apply to be the Discord moderator? Yeah, it'll be, just for your own timing, it'll be at least a few weeks yet. But I just did it yesterday on the DDO side. Or not yesterday, but 2 days ago on the DDO side. And immediately got 40 applications, which was awesome. But yes, it'll be announced on the website, forums, social media, all the rest. As someone who's not played on a Legendary server, someone asks, how long, time-wise, does it take for content to reach the maximum level? There isn't an exact science to it. One of the things we've done with our Legendary Worlds is offer different time periods for different ones. For example, Shadowfax was a very fast progression server where we unlock content every few months, whereas Treebeard was a slower than normal server where it's our currently remaining server because it's taken a long time to go there. Honor and Ithel debuted as our original Legendary Worlds, and they tended to go on a quarterly rollout pace, maybe something like that. But ultimately, there's no standard. It's based on the server and based on the role of the server and what we want to do with it. There's been a thought of rolling out a somewhat more frequent progression on Mordor, in part based on the content area that people are in. For example, we know that people typically want to move through Rohan perhaps a little more quickly, and so we could progress through Rohan content, for example, on a faster pace than we would Moria and such like that. So we're having discussions right now about that, and I'm hoping to include some of that information in the FAQ, but really the answer is it depends on the server. Typically, though, we've not done slower than an update every 6 months. Any info I can share on the new instance, solo, 3, or 6 person? I believe it'll be the typical solo, duo, 3-6. That's my understanding on it. But I'll have more information on that when we get a little closer to it being ready for preview and release. At this point, I know it exists. I know kind of a big spoiler about it that I shouldn't say at this point. And I know thematically what it's about, but some of the finer details of it, I just don't know at this point. All right. Well, I think I've pretty much cruised through the news. So let us move in game. I think. Oh, I did want to take just a minute to go over a couple of community events as well. The first being that we have got Weatherstock happening on towards the end of the month, and the concert series, I understand, is running the next couple of weekends, but it kicks off, I believe, the 26th, Weatherstock itself, the 26th of July. There's a new thing by Clippo, I'm not quite sure how to say the name, who did Lotrofest and the Summer Carnival. He's doing a Laurelin Jubilee, or they are rather doing a Laurelin Jubilee. I don't know the gender. August 17th, 1 p.m. server time at the Brie Festival Field in Laurelin. There's an article on the forums about that. I also know that Deco Doom has kicked off their 17th Housing Week and Middle-earth contest. That happened this week as well, so if you're into housing, and you're into contests, and you're into winning stuff, go over to Deco Doom and check that one out. Oh, and let me just also quick mention that Week 8 of our Tales of the Kindred rolled out this Wednesday. And that brings an end to the weekly rollout of quests for the Tales of the Kindred series. There's been a question about what the future is for these quests. They're going to stick around permanently. At this point, all 8 are available for anyone who wants to run it, and that's what we're going to be taking care of here in the next couple of minutes. So let's roll in game and do that. Also, it is getting warm in here. You have a birthday party. Who would you ask about getting some codes to give away as prizes? Well, it depends, Jinjar, on the nature of the event. I typically try not to fund kinship fundraisers. Like, for example, if your main goal is to try to bribe people to join your kinship or what have you, I try to avoid doing that. And if it's just you and a couple of friends hanging out, I typically don't want to pick winners and losers on that, because there's just too much of that sort of thing that happens. But if it's a public-related event, you know, if you're just inviting any old person who wants to show up and you've done some promo on it, say on the forums, social media, and what have you, kick me a DM in the forums and kind of let me know about the nature of the event, where it's promoted, get me some links to it, and I'd be happy to kick you some points codes for your celebration. Game audio is a bit loud. Okay. Yeah, I noticed. I know something I think is somewhat off with my audio today. Unfortunately, I tried to listen to it beforehand, but it seems like my power level is low. Like normally I have it set lower than what it is, so I'm not quite sure what's up with that. So at the moment, I am heading over to the lock that is sort of behind a door that we've been trying to go to here with the story of the light and the shadow. This is the Tales of the Kindred stuff. And I'm just kind of clearing out mobs on my way there. say a streamer wants to do a Hobbit run, if anyone saw Sunday night, would they be able to reach out about that at all? Yeah, absolutely. That was a really fun event. I had heard one of the streamers who took part in the Take the Hobbits to Isengard stream group over the weekend had said something about reaching out to me for points and me not getting back to them. And I haven't been able to actually contact the individual to follow up on it. But I didn't see anything, so I don't know where they reached out to me or what have you, but the forums is probably the best way to do that. Twitter may be the second best, and honestly our help system works as well. If you want to file a Zendesk ticket to ask for your points for your event, send it to community forum support. I deal with those tickets. That's me. That's me answering all of your forum and community ticket queues. I don't work for customer service, but I do in one specific area, and that is the when it comes to community tickets. So anything that gets sent to community forum support goes to me, and so that would be a fine way to do it as well. But I would be happy. I would have been happy to have kicked them codes for that thing over the weekend. I just didn't know about it, sadly. But yes, please do. It was awesome to see all those thousands of people watch on Lotro. Okay, well, I just unlocked the mysterious lock. Now what do I do? I go to the area... Where am I going? Okay. Oh, here we go. Unassuming brick wall. Alright, so now we are heading... Try to, Fortunately, the name is skipping my brain right now. There's a person that we're trying to meet here. We had 3 large Twitch streamers and a bunch of other streamers of different sizes as well all do a Take the Hobbits to Isengard run on, I think it was last Sunday. And these streamers had a combined total of more than 1 million followers, which is big. One alone had like 775,000. And that's a lot. That'll get your attention as a company, for sure. So, you know, after seeing those streams, I've worked to reach out to them a little bit. Fortunately, because of their size, they're a little hard to get into immediate contact with. But it's something I would like to support in the future. So. It was awesome. Okay. Yes, that has got to be one of the more classic bits of Lotro history in terms of player activities. When the history is written of like top 20 things people did, I'm gonna say that bacon pies to level cap has got to be up there in terms of notoriety and awesomeness. Okay, looking for a book and a note. Okay, that's my entrance. Here we go. A candle flickers in the dark and is extinguished. actually go on my way back. Above ground, I suppose I didn't even have to do this. I could have just teleported. Ah, that's a lot of stuff. This is what... Oh my gosh. I are the doomed. I are the doomed. Okay. That's fine. Let me just retreat. I think, Charissa, that some of the streamers who played the event do play Lotro, but perhaps didn't play it a lot on camera to date. At least that's my understanding. I can't really speak for them, though. Like, they were familiar enough to know it was happening and to be able to log into the client and things, but... Okay. I don't know what else I should, mention. I think I've kind of run out of things to talk about at the moment. Will the Mariner class be available to pick when Mordor launches? Yes. I believe that should be a non-issue. What class will I play on the Mordor server? I don't know. You know, I haven't actually thought about that, whether I was intending to play on Mordor or not. Because of the fact that it is a European geolocated server, my ping rate, being in the eastern United States, is going to be worse than if I play on a different one, right? So, or play on a US-based server. So I don't know that I was actually planning to stream from Mordor outside of a little bit just for hype reasons. But potentially I should. Maybe I should. The one advantage of playing on a server like Mordor for a noon stream would be that it's closer to people's prime time, because they're Germany and France generally about 6 hours ahead. Oh, I see. I did actually see you was behind me. Hey, 33S. And Lizzie. How you doing? Why, yes. I know that you're there. I do.
What do you want to say to the mic?
Speaking of my son here, I actually think him and I are going to be doing a Lobby stream on Lotro here in the coming weeks. One of the things before he goes back to school we're planning to do is have him join me for one of these noon streams, and he's not played Lotro really, and so it'll be a chance to play with him, and it should be fun.
This is most troubling news.
Why would a criminal
Why
have
would
such
a
scholarly
criminal
books?
have such scholarly books. And that same...
A candle flickers in the dark and is extinguished. Another riddle, it seems.
I know not what a candle flickers in the dark and is extinguished means.
These clues help a great deal. There was a volume missing from the books you found. I wonder if the missing volume holds secrets from Secta. Would you go to Tilmakim and Taktar? There's a bookseller there who may have the missing volume. Ephrati, I believe her name is. We need every clue we can grasp to find Secta. Okay, Tilmakim and Taktar. I don't know where that is. Yes, Lizzie is definitely a seafood consumer. Okay, so I'm guessing. Guessing it must be in caves here. Okay, yes. So, Ilmabiri the Wells. Oh, to Takdar the Cellars. Okay. So, that's fine. I can pop into one of these and find my way there. Okay. So let us do that. So she does like catnip, but it tends to be a one-time thing. Like if I get her a catnip toy, she'll use it for the first time, and then but she doesn't really go back to this stuff. So once it's played with, it's kind of done for good, and it just sits. So I have considered playing a Guardian, but I think I would be bad at it. That's really what it comes down to in terms of me playing a Guardian. I don't think I would be very good at it. So I don't know what I want to do there. Okay, which is the one I want to go to? Or do I just want to run there? I guess this is shorter. So, Hibatak. All right.
May the seas be calm and the winds fair.
Alright, we've got some more quests here we can pick up, but let's go to... Where am I actually going? Should be right. Oh, here we go. A free
Do
tea.
you have need of something?
I have the book, but your coin is no good here. If I take it to Mauramit, the purveyor of traps across the market, will have my head. Afriti leans in close. She and Koltek have an arrangement, if you get my meaning. You understand. Off with you then. I need to devise my next counterattack against these rats. So, we're going back to Koltek, and I think I will just take the Mithril coin method. I actually created a guardian at one point. I had a high elf guardian, I think, Hardian, something like that, and I never really got the hang of it. But I also didn't play it a whole lot. I do love my champion here, and I enjoyed playing my minstrel quite a bit as well.
Just as
I've got a Hurgler the Burglar as well, and I've got my Mariner, my River Hobbit Mariner as well. Just as I thought, each of these books show a fascination bordering on obsession with the heirs of Castamere. These robes, stained in blood, they speak to Umbari nobility. These books, much more scholarly than one would think for a lowly criminal. And his writing style from the note, so neat, like he was trained or schooled in it. An archivist, an Umbari historian, it all fits. They are members of nobility, highly educated, trained in reading and writing. Secta is an archivist. I have never had a cat not like catnip, but Lizzie is more muted about it than others. But she'll get into it, though. Move over to the right group of archivists. Okay.
Sector!
So catnip is kind of like cilantro. Okay. I can see that. I like cilantro. I know where the candle is.
The candle is a ship. They mean to commandeer the candle of Umbar. Meet me at the westernmost dock of the Saint Haven. I know that's where Sektal went.
And is extinguished. Move to stop Secta from commandeering the Candle of Umbar. Okay. Yes, I have been hearing positive things about the housing items and cosmetics from these quests, and that's great to see. I'm enjoying the story quite a bit myself. You took my chest, Koltek.
No light. And I am no shadow.
Dang.
The ravings of a madman. Ah, thank you. We have done much for Umbar, both above and below ground this day.
I thinking I might like Koltek a little less after this. Not okay, man. Not okay. Okay. So, I believe... Let me actually look up on my own sheet of paper here. I want to do these in order. The NPC order is... I can't quite think of it at the moment. But I wrote it down. I am not too surprised by that, Charissa. So the best catnip that Lizzie ever ate was a kind of a homemade gourmet catnip Etsy sort of thing that was in a little bag. And she just chewed and chewed on that bag for a lot. There was also actually a little patch of catnip right outside my backyard, and that's one of her main places to Harmalock, who that's who I need to go to. It's probably her first step every time she goes outside. Okay, Rothog, Harmalock. Here we go. So I've got Koltek, Harmalock, Rothog, Belendor myself.
And thus the
Yeah.
one who gave aid to my esteemed friend Koltek was you after all.
But so it is with all of us within the Kindred, and important that any who think to oppose us realize it. There's a noblewoman in the city on whom I have kept watch, but of late she has had fewer coins with which to support the Kindred. Her name is Sharula, and she keeps a manor in the northeastern area of the Upper Ward, west of the Tor Gardens. Speak with her and consult her ledger. She'll likely be expecting someone to call upon her on my behalf. Because it's time to pay up. Okay. So let us do that quick. I do wish the Weatherstock concert series the best of luck this weekend, as they're doing their stuff. And we are presumably heading right there. Yes.
I am honored to welcome an emissary of the Kindred.
I expected your arrival, so I've had my servants bring my ledgers and papers for your convenience. Look at them, but I can assure you the Golden Queen will find all is in order, and my expected tithe is the correct amount. Looks
I
good
thank
here.
you for your doubtless precious time, as I have little of my own.
Yes, I hope you don't break Landreval. Generally, the only thing you really want to keep an eye out for is be careful not to be bringing too many people between land block borders. Some of which are pretty obvious, like the Brandywine Bridge, some of which are less so. But you will run into stutter step lag in that, like we saw during the Take the Hobbits to Isengard stuff over the weekend, with having that many people.
A wealthy noble free of suspicious secrets is a suspicious sort indeed.
I mean, I
We
could say
shall
the same
feel
about you.
content for a time.
Word has come to me she may have some connection with smuggling activity in Taktar, the cellars. If you engage with some of those who take part in these unlawful activities, you may recover some clear records that will connect Sharula with their smuggling operation. This will make it easier for us to move against her. Okay, so we are heading down to Taktar. There is also, I don't have it in front of me, but there is a group that is working on a surround sound concert that I think is pretty darn nifty. I don't know if I can call that up or not, but yes. So this is the TDs and 6 Orc Heads. It's called 4 Headphones Only. It's in August, Sunday, August 11th. 10 p.m. server time at the Prancing Pony on Landreval. It's a 24-part band playing in panning stereo surround sound. Basically, the audience is going to be in the center. All the people will be ringing it around. All the musicians will. And it'll kind of sound all weird and groovy. And that's awesome. I am into that kind of thing. I don't know if you ever remember, there was a Flaming Lips album that came out, I guess it was sort of mid-late 90s, where it was actually 4 CDs. And the idea was you would play all 4 CDs at the exact same time in 4 different stereos in order to create sort of a surround sound, weirdo, quadraphonic type thing effect. And I always thought that that was pretty nifty. And I'm also into quadraphonic stuff. I never had a quad record player, but one of my favorite Frank Zappa recordings is actually a Blu-ray music disc in 5.1 surround of the old quadraphonic stuff that he did. So I think the idea of that is pretty neat. Der Rinsler, when will the new servers arrive? We have not yet announced a release date. Our target is still in July here, and we'll have more information in the near future about its formal release date. That's the best I can give you at the moment. So within the next couple weeks, basically, is the plan. I was always one of those, I'm one of the few people, I mean there's other audiophiles and such out there into this as well, but I was always really sad to see that SACD and DVD audio never really took off commercially. It's just the Spotify effect and the way people consume music has just changed a lot. But I was always really kind of hoping that we'd go into higher quality audio streams and surround sound music and things. And it just didn't really happen. It's very, very niche when it exists. And people are just listening to MP3s and such online these days, but I was always hoping that there would be a successor to CDs, and it would actually be something kind of like that. I don't think I have an ear for an audiophile, but I have the nerdiness of an audiophile, so I got that kind of bit covered. Too many loud concerts in my youth to really say I've got high-quality listening ears. You could blame Dinosaur Jr. for that. The loudest concert I've ever been to. Louder than Megadeth, Testament, and Judas Priest. Yeah, DSD is alive, but very, very niche. Exactly. DSD is cool. but there's just not much out there. I've got actually a really good Journey concert on DSD audio that's really nice. And it's 5.1 surround as well. It was real cool. I'm not like a huge Journey fan, but it kind of made me one. Because it sounds so good. I did. I actually paid attention to my ears as well, and did wear earplugs. But I was in punk bands, I was in hardcore bands, I was in very loud bands, with lots of people, and I went to a lot of concerts. So even with all wearing earplugs, it has impacted things over time. Alright, so we are at 1 o'clock here. Probably end the show and pick this up. Maybe I'll try to get this done off camera here for next week's show so we can continue on after I pick up the records and see what's up. I'm a record collector. Speaking of audiophiles, we're trading vinyl with all these thieves. They're pirated records, and we're just picking up, I don't know, a German repress of Escape Club's Wild Wild West. I've seen a lot more bugs than I am record collectors. Oh no, Arabani. I know a lot of people ended up getting rid of their record collections and things. I actually at one point had ripped all of my music files to my computer as MP3s and then boxed up all my CDs and got rid of all the cases when I did that to make space. And boy, do I regret it. I wish I had never done that. I ended up digging out all those CDs again and having to recase them all. And now I mostly listen to CDs at home. Or records. But you're not alone. Lots of people do that. So, alright, let's take care of this sentry, and then I'm going to call it a show. So, this show goes live on YouTube within a few hours after it being broadcast live here. You'll be able to find the show every Friday at noon Eastern on twitch.tv/LotraStream. We've got a whole bunch of streamers all week long, so please do check out our schedule to see if there are other streams you'd be interested in. Hope you have a great Lotra weekend. Hope you have a great weekend in general, and I'll talk to y'all again next week. Have fun.